Nurses working in managed isolation and quarantine are considering walking off the job if they can't get better specialised masks to wear when dealing with potentially infectious returnees. Their union says they don't consistently have access to what's known as N95 masks that are used for infection control and are a step up from the simple surgical masks that are also used in MIQ. The Nurses Organisation says the coronavirus is highly contagious, an airborne pathogen that's a serious health risk, with 2 nurses and a Defence Force worker already infected through their work in managed isolation. Well, joining me now from the Nurses Organisation is Glenda Alexander. Glenda, what is the main concern here?
Oh, hi. Yeah, well, the main concern for us is obviously the health and well-being of our members who are working, in these facilities and who are actually at risk of being infected themselves while they're caring for others. And we think it's really important that they have the best protection possible to avoid that, because at the end of the day, at the end of the shift, they go home to their families and go back into their communities. So it's really important that we keep those people as safe as we possibly can.
Masks, what kind of masks have they been given, and why do you want them to have the other ones?
Well, basically, the issue is it's inconsistent. There is, in some facilities, there's access only to the surgical masks, which we're sort of way past that point with given the patients or the guests, whatever we're calling them, who they're caring for. So they need to be, at least as a minimum, the N95 masks, and they also need to be, we need to ensure that they've been properly fitted so that prevents any infection by this airborne transmission, because, that's quite a significant risk for our members.
Glenda, can we just be clear on this? When a nurse is doing a COVID test, a nasal test, are they sometimes only wearing a surgical mask?
Well, as far as we understand, in some places, yes, that's correct, and that's what we're saying should not be at this point of the journey on this COVID virus. They should be doing when they're doing that first-hand frontline interaction with a patient.
Glenda, your phone is just cutting in and out a little bit, so I might just get you to stay put if you could. But how many nurses are actually in the MIQ facilities?
I don't have that figure with me, but I mean it's a significant number because the facilities are also growing. There are a great number, like for instance in Auckland there's over 18 facilities, and so there are nurses rostered round the clock in those.
If you don't get what you want, what are you advising? That they stop doing particular procedures or stop working there altogether?
Well, we're looking and exploring what we can do under the Health and Safety at Work Act. So if this was a factory or something where there was a guard missing off a piece of equipment that people had to use, and to use that would put them at risk, then they would be able to refuse to do that work until it was addressed. So it's a similar situation. We believe these marks are the safety equipment that not being provided and in place for these workers to have safety in the work they have to do means that they can refuse to do that. Now, does that mean walking off the job, or does it mean refusing to do interactions where they're in close proximity and put themselves at risk to being infected?
How serious are you about this? I mean, what conversations have you had with the ministry, and at what point do you make the decision to take that action?
Well, we've been in lots of conversations, and we keep getting told there's more conversations to be had, and people are trying to figure this out and get the right things to the right place. But it's just taking too long, and meanwhile we've got people every hour of the day potentially at risk, and so it can't go on. So we want some urgent action. We've tried to do it through the positive channels of interactions with people, and we're just not making any traction. So our members are really anxious and are now at the point where they would like to see some kind of action happen through other levers, if you like, to address the situation.
So what's your deadline? When are you going to make your move?
Well, we think we will need to make our move within the next few days.
Appreciate your time this evening. That is Glenda Alexander from the Nurses Organisation.